guys, welcome to the channel. Before we call it contractor, I'm Andy. Today's video we are going to be hanging a TV. Pretty straightforward once you've done it a few times, but there's a couple things you got to consider when you go to do it. First of all, what kind of bracket do you want to use? Alright guys, so before you hang a TV, you want to figure out what mount you're going to use. There's relatively 3 different ones out there. This one, single arm mount. This attaches to the TV, this attaches to the wall. The pluses to this, it's relatively inexpensive. It's light, it's easy. This just connects to the TV. Works for smaller TVs. I would never use anything like this for anything bigger than like a 43 inch. And that's what this was hung on. Now, this is my first choice for brackets, but it does work fine for smaller TVs. Anything above 43 inches, I definitely. Now, my preferred bracket would be one like this. 2 arms, very adjustable. This part goes in the wall, and then there's another piece that goes onto the TV. This particular one came from Harbor Freight, and it's very universal, but it's a little more complicated than some of the other ones. Depending on the TV, this TV I'm hanging today is a 43 inch. This actually will attach right to the TV. But when you get bigger than that, it comes with multiple arms and some different ways of connecting it to the TV. It's a little bit more complicated, although I have used it in the past, and it does work. If you want to hang a TV today, great. But if you want something simpler, I'd say get something off Amazon. I'll show you what I bought off Amazon that I think works better. So if you look, this also has 2 arms articulating, but this has just these that attach to the TV, and this hangs right here. And that's much simpler than the other one from Harbor Freight. They're both about 40 bucks off Amazon. I mean, this is 40 bucks off Amazon, and the one from Harbor Freight's right at 40 bucks too. If you don't have a hang one today, and by the way, I'm not criticizing Harbor Freight at all. I love their stuff. But this is a little bit simpler to do. And there's one other setup that you could go with. So this particular one is a flat mount. Bracket goes on the wall, and the TV will just hang like that. And this attaches to your TV. There's a couple reasons I don't like these mounts. Biggest thing is if you need to hook up HDMI cables or you need to put a fire stick or something there, you need to do it before you hang the TV because you can't get your hands up in there to do anything once you hang the TV. Second thing is, if you're hanging a TV by yourself, it's, let's say, bigger than 50 inches, with one of these brackets, it's very hard to see behind the TV to do this, whereas with the articulating brackets, you can pull it away from the wall and do it. Now, if you're hanging a very heavy TV, this might be the one to go with because this bracket is wide enough that you can hit studs with all 4 of your mounts, where a lot of the other ones, you can only hit a stud on one of them, but then you use walling because of the other. But if you're hanging a really big TV and it's really heavy, this might be the bracket you want to go with. So like I said, this TV is only 43 inches, very simple. This bracket attaches right to the TV, and notice it says up. Literally this one will go here and it'll line up with the holes on here, and all you have to do is put the bolts in it. Now as you can see, most of your TVs come with mounting hardware. So you just gotta find the screw that's the right size for your TV. Put a washer on it. And screw it in. Now one thing guys, these things all come with spacers. You do not want to bottom these screws out too far. If you're putting the screw in and it stops and it's not snug all the way, back it out and put a spacer in, because if you go too far, you're going to end up breaking the TV. So we got all of our screws tight. I did not need to use any spacers on this one, but again, don't forget to use the spacers if you need them, so you don't damage the TV. And that's all you got to do for the TV side of things to mount it. So next, what you got to do is figure out where you want it on your wall. This is going in the bedroom, so I want it centered on the bed. And the way I'm going to figure that out is I'm going to measure my distance from the bed to the wall. We are 32 inches. Okay. Then I'm going to measure how wide my bed is. Bed is 58. Half of 58 is going to be somebody else. Somebody help me out there. Okay, so half of 58 is going to be 29 plus the 32. So we want to go 32, 42, 52. We want to go 61 inches from the wall is what's going to give us our centered spot. So that's what we want to do. Measure from the wall. 61 inches, right there. And take a pencil. just put a little mark. Just want to put a little mark in. Always use a pencil, don't use a pen. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get on the bed, and I'm going to just get in the center of the bed and make sure that that's lined up. And I just did that, and that is definitely where I want it. Then we got to determine how far up off we want it off the floor. So to do that, we got to figure out where our bracket is on our TV. All right, so the bracket right here is literally only 3 inches from the bottom of the TV. And then we got to figure out how high up off the wall we want it. By the way, I said how high up off the wall do we want it. I meant how high up off the floor do we want it. You kind of want it, face level. So I'm thinking I want the bottom of the TV to be right at about 52 inches. So the bottom of my bracket then is going to be at 55. And that'll help me determine where I'm going to put it, the bracket on the wall. So I'm using that spot that I had on the wall where I measured from the other wall, and I'm going to measure down to 55 inches and make another mark. That lets me know where to put my bracket on the wall. So something I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, what tools do you need to do this? Well, screwdriver, pencil, torpedo level works great, measuring tape, stud finder. There's a couple different ones out there. There's my electronic stud finder, there's a magnetic stud finder, they both work. I use them both interchangeably. Sometimes I use this one to find the stud, and then I'll use this one to find the screws or nails to make sure that I'm in the right spot. You're also going to need a drill, and you might need a ratchet set to put in the lag bolts into the stud. Now I'm going to mention, when I put this up here, I know I'm probably only going to hit one stud, and I'm okay with that for a smaller TV. Anything up to like 65 inches, I'm totally fine with just hitting one stud, and I'll use wall anchors for the other side. Anything bigger than 65, we start going 75, 80, and now these really big ones, you probably want to hit, the stud with both sides because they get heavy. And, last thing you want to think is buy your nice big brain TV and it falls. So here's the interesting thing, is I just put this up on the wall to see where it's going to go. And the stud is actually dead center in the middle of my bracket, which, that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lag bolt into the stud at the top bottom, and then I'm going to put drywall anchors on the top one on both sides, and that'll be more than enough to hold it. So I'm going to hold my bracket on the wall, get my torpedo level on it. I'm going to mark the bottom hole, the top hole, and then I'm going to use the outside ones on both sides of the bracket. Okay, so most brackets usually come with all the mounting hardware you need. There are some things that they don't come with, and things like drywall anchors. They don't come with drywall anchors. And again, if you can only hit one stud, you need to put drywall anchors on the other side. This one came with these lag bolts. They're huge. And for a 43-inch TV, I don't need ones that big. So I'm going to use these smaller ones. Now, you want to use a drill bit that's slightly smaller than the screw that's going to be going into it. And there are some different wall anchors you can use. There are these. These say they'll hold up to 100 pounds. You want something that expands inside the wall. That basically, when you put a screw in here, this bar comes out and opens up inside the wall. The other thing you can use, and I have done this many times, are butterfly anchors. The little butterfly, this goes in here. Now the tricky thing about these is you got to put them on the bracket first, then you squeeze this, and you got to feed it through the wall. Works great. I've used it many times. That's not what I'm using today. Today, I'm using these. The way these work is you drill your hole, you slide this through the wall, you put this in here, then you slide this up to where the wall is, and you snap these off, and then you can put your bolt in there. And that's what we're going to go with today. But first, we got to drill our holes. All right, so like I said, you want to use a drill bit that's slightly smaller than the bolt you're going to use. So I'm going to use this drill bit for the center bolts, and I'll have to use a different one for the drywall ones. Now, when you're doing this, keep in mind, like I said, I'm drilling these holes right here. There's an outlet right down here. So the wire for this outlet runs up along this stud. So you want to make sure you're not drilling, you're definitely in the stud. You don't want to get on the edge of the stud because you could easily hit the outlet wires, and you don't want to do that. Okay, for these, you gotta use a 1/2 inch drill bit. It says it on the box. The easiest thing to do is read the box, it'll tell you what to use. Alright, I had to go find my 1/2 inch drill bit, I got that. So now I'm just gonna drill my 2 outer holes. Alright, then we put in our anchors. Put them in there, get that straightened out, get this snugged up. Then you literally just snap them off. It's that easy. Alright, now we need to put our bracket on the wall. I will tell you, it helps if you have somebody help you do this, but I'm used to doing it by myself. Get this up here and line it up on your first hole. Get your bracket flush against the wall. And get it started. Once you have it started, it's not that bad. You can literally just let the bracket hang on this bolt and you put it in. Now you could do this with an impact driver or a drill. The risk you run there is if you go too fast, you can snap the head of the lag bolt off, and I have done that. So when I'm doing this, I pretty much do it just with a ratchet wrench. Again, your preference how you choose to do it. It takes a few minutes longer doing it this way, but you run less risk of breaking the bolt. Now I gotta make sure I'm lined up with my other anchors, my other hole. And I am. Get it just about snug. And put in my anchors on each side. So I'm trying to do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. That one in. Get this one in. Now, before I tighten anything down all the way, I put the level back on it. Because you'll see there is a little bit of play in here that you can wiggle around and make sure you get it level. And that's dead on, so I'm going to snug everything down. Alright guys, so I want to show you something. If you look at this bracket here, you see got these 3 screws that actually hold the bracket on the wall. Then if you come over and look at the bracket, you got this where these screws go. This top one you'll notice is notched out. So what you do is you put your nut right here on this top one. Not snug all the way, just loose. Now you've got something to hang it on there. You don't have to try to hold the TV up there while you're trying to put the nuts on. All right, this is also where I can tell you I like the fact that the bracket comes away from the wall because I can see behind it. So I can lift this up, get that over that slot, and essentially my TV is hanging there. Now all I have to do is tighten things down. Definitely makes it a lot easier. I can promise you, trying to hold the TV up there and trying to put the nuts on at the same time is very difficult. Alright guys, so I tightened up these 3 nuts that hold the bracket on there. Now you'll notice that when I put the TV up there, it fell forward. What you gotta do is you gotta figure out where you want it. And then these nuts right here, you just tighten them up. Now I'm using a ratchet, but the kit actually came with a wrench you can do it with. So if you're like, I don't have a ratchet, you just tighten these up. Then we can spread our arms out and push our TV back against the wall. And we have our TV mounted on the wall. Now I'm going to do another video, and I'm going to show you how to move the outlet from down here. Well, not really move the outlet, but put a second outlet up behind the TV, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. But anyway, guys, I hope you find this video useful. I want to thank our active duty military, our veterans, and first responders out there. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you find this video useful, and have a great day.